We were about 1 hour into the Civil War. We all figured things were going pretty well, but naturally we wondered how much longer it would all last. Some of us thought an hour, some thought 2. We little suspected the Civil War would drag on for more than 11 hours.
When Ken Burns created his Civil War documentary in 1990, the world was a very different place. There weren't as many specialty channels. Cell phones were much larger. We were a very naive country used to 1-hour documentaries like Nova. Nobody could conceive what it would be like to endure a monster work like the Civil War.
My brave Michael went off to watch the Civil War today. He had high hopes of seeing it through to the end. But after just 2 hours, we knew he was gone. Betsy Felcheck, Tennessee.
It's the music of the Civil War that I remember. The whole series didn't seem to have upwards of 6 tunes. They kind of grate on you after a while. Lizzie Hemp, North Dakota.
My love, I do so admire Ken Burns. When he needs to fill time, he simply pans across gravestones and reads off lists of names. Vince Ruby, script editor.
One young writer is reputed to have come up to Ken Burns and asked him, Mr. Burns, sir, all these lists are getting out of hand. Why, we might as well just read off the names of every soldier buried in Arlington Cemetery. To which Burns replied, I think you might be on to something, son.
By the 5th episode, I was getting a strong sense of deja vu. I said to my pappy, didn't we see this one already? He said, no, we didn't. I said, but I've seen that photo before. He said, well, yes, I confess it's been used a few times now. I said, and I've heard that music before. He said, yes, that the music was the same as from earlier. But this was still a different episode about something happening later in the war. Mary Ellen Walton, Virginia.
My dear wife, as far as I figure it, Ken Burns' greatest achievement is in telling his story largely through old photographs from the era. It leaves lots of production money for crew parties. Elliot Chupa, production assistant.
My darling, you asked me why Ken Burns chose the Civil War as a topic? It's because for him and his corporate sponsors, America is defined by the Civil War, just as it is defined by jazz music and baseball and apple pie. Incidentally, his 20-part documentary about apple pie will be starting any day now. Vince Ruby, script editor.
The Civil War defined us as a documentary-watching people. It wasn't the longest documentary. Baseball and jazz were both longer. But at 11 hours, it was long enough. We knew that if we could sit through that, we could sit through anything.